Hey guys, I'm Glaurung, and not too long ago a patch was released for Heroes of the Storm, and I figured I'd walk you guys through that patch. A lot of things changed. Some things were really good, in my opinion, and some things not so good. And I'd just like to give you my opinion and perspective on the changes. So, here it is. First thing I'd like to jump into, just the fact that they added a new hero and a new battleground to the game. It changes up so many things, like Sylvanas being added to the meta. Like, I'll go over her abilities in a moment, but it's gonna change things up quite a bit. So let's start off with the new battleground. It's called Tomb of the Spider Queen. This map is a 3-lane map, and its map objective is somewhat unique. We haven't seen something like this yet in the game. I've played on this map a few times myself, now that the patch has been out for a few days, and it's a pretty impactful mechanic on the map. Like, it can't necessarily end games, but it can definitely help establish a lead. And basically what it is minions that spawn periodically drop these gems, and you collect these gems and turn them in, similar to like how there's a turn in on Blackheart's Bay. You turn them in on 2 separate spots on the map, Tomb of the Spider Queen. Once you reach a certain amount of gems turned in, it'll summon 3 spiders to come push. I think it's called web weavers. Yeah, 3 web weavers that'll siege each lane, and it's actually pretty hard to deal with if the enemy team is pressuring properly. I definitely think this map is going to see a lot of competitive play. I think it's going to be an exciting map to play on as well. Now, on to the new hero, Sylvanas. Everyone's been super excited for Sylvanas for an extremely long time. I've played with Sylvanas on my team. I've played against Sylvanas. I've played a few games as Sylvanas. Overall, I'm extremely impressed. I think she's a great hero. She brings a lot of utility with her ultimate, Wailing Arrow. In my opinion, it's like her only viable heroic ability, because the silence is just so insane. So let's start off with her Q. Her Q basically has a certain number of charges, and you can spam it whenever you're in range of an enemy, and it'll shoot the closest enemy. It's pretty fun to use. It feels kind of similar to Lily's Q, in the sense that it's just a spammable ability that cannot be cast unless there are enemies close by. Her W, Shadow Dagger, has a lot of like cool applications. It's like a damage over time that disables like minion waves too. So you can like throw it on a minion wave, and has extremely good wave clear. Her E is like one of the coolest mobility abilities they've added in the game to date. Like, you can do so many cool things, whether it be juking your opponents or just like escaping or chasing. I think it's a well-designed mobility ability. Now, her trait is what makes her interesting, in my opinion. Her basic attacks and abilities stun minions, mercs, and towers. That is really strong in some situations and not so strong in others. Like, I think you're going to be seeing Sylvanas like highly valued on maps like Haunted Mines, where her passive can be utilized. It's just immensely strong. It's just incredible. And then in situations on like Sky Temple and stuff, I don't think you'll be able to see her use her trait to the same like sort of success. But now moving on to her ultimate, I kind of gave you guys a brief breakdown, but she has a skill shot, shoot an arrow that explodes for 200 damage and silences enemies for 2.5 seconds. Can be reactivated to detonate the arrow early. Really, really cool. It's a ranged silence. It's like the second silence in the game. Aside from Malfurion's Twilight Dream, this is the only other silence. And this is really interesting too, because you can hit multiple people with this ultimate pretty easily. So it can like disrupt enemy teams and just change the flow of the team fight heavily. I definitely think it's the better ultimate, based off of like my experimentation and my observation. And her other ultimate, Possession, forces an enemy minion to fight for you. It gains 20% health and attack damage. It's like a a promote almost. I don't know. I don't see too many applications for it, at least yet. So I don't really think possession's all that great. There were some changes to the UI. Basically, the game just looks better. Nothing too interesting about the UI. And what's really cool is Team League was introduced and implemented this patch. Team League, like, is something I was looking forward to for a long time. Outside of regular practice and scrims and stuff, there hasn't been really anything that you can competitively look forward to. And this is it for me, you know, like, if you're playing with a group of friends or your team and you want to like just take it seriously, Team League is a good resource for that. So I like Team League, and I think they can do some cool things with Team League eventually. A lot of art was changed. That's one thing like Blizzard always impresses me with. The skins and stuff in this game are amazing. Like the Tassadar skin, Mecha Tassadar, actually transforms into a jet. So awesome. Basically, there were a ton of art changes. In the shop, basically this just tells you what has changed, what you can now buy. A lot of changes just like to improve quality of life when you're playing the game. Now the battleground changes are what's interesting to me. Like the Blackheart's Beige change doesn't really mean anything. It's just nice. Now this on Dragonshire, the player controlled Dragon Knights are now more resistant to disable effects, is like a really vague thing. And I personally haven't really noticed too much of a difference when like controlling a Dragon Knight, but it actually is a pretty significant change, because if you're in the Dragon Knight and you're like trying to pressure a keep, the keep will slow you, and it's actually like hard to get in and damage a keep without taking too much damage. And this change makes it more easy to siege keeps, so that's pretty cool. There were a lot of changes to Haunted Mines, and I think these changes are good overall. The Grave Golem health and damage will no longer scale after like certain conditions have been met, and this, like, I guess makes certain strategies that used to be viable just completely unviable now. But I think overall it's a good change. And on Garden of Terror, player controlled Garden of Terrors are more resistant to disable effects. That I have noticed a ton. Like, you used to be able to body block a Garden of Terror, and now you can't, like, at all. And there were some minor changes to the Terror's W. It has increased health and now deals like, I actually don't know if it's less damage overall, but instead of a flat percentage of minion and mercenaries health, it's numerical, and it changes per minute, and that's interesting to me. I think it's really cool. On Sky Temple, the reason they reduced the temple damage by 10% is because, I don't know if it was mentioned earlier. Oh, it's mentioned just after. Temple damage is reduced by 10% because gate, tower, town hall, and wall health, basically every structure's health has been reduced by 10% as well. So they just wanted to make sure the temples were doing the same amount of damage. For talents, there's some pretty cool changes. Healing Ward is probably the most important one that I personally have taken note of. The duration has been increased, so it makes it more important to kill the Healing Ward once it's been set down. Heal amount had been reduced from 3% per second to 2% per second. This nerf isn't overwhelming. Like, Healing Ward is still amazing, but I definitely think it was a change that needed to happen, because Healing Ward was just ridiculous before. And now you do the same amount of healing, the Healing Word lasts longer, so it's more important for you to target down that Healing Word and find it quickly. Scouting Drone now has 2 charges, and that's interesting to me, because Scouting Drone on a few heroes has become like much more viable. On Brightwing, for example, for level 1 talents, if you're not going Bribe and there's no real purpose for you to go increase damage on Q, It's a nice alternative to be able to go scouting drone. It provides a lot of vision for your team, and just to use Brightwing as an example again, the scouting drone on Brightwing makes it so she can play a lot safer in the lane she's playing in early on. I think that's a really cool change. There were a lot of changes to heroes as well. I'm just going to briefly go over them, but Abathur had some changes to talents that improved his power level slightly. The monstrosity now lasts until it's killed, and that's a pretty big change. It definitely makes Abathur more viable in like a solo queue atmosphere, not so much in competitive play. I'm skeptical. I don't think we'll see too much Abathur. Sure. Ultimate Evolution got slightly buffed. It makes it like more viable, but I think Monstrosity still takes the cake when it comes to Abathur. And I still don't think these are the changes needed to make Abathur viable. Asmodan, the Globe of Annihilation Taste for Blood talent now has a maximum damage cap of 500. I think that's a really good change because before you would see Asmodan stacking their Q to like 800 bonus damage and just doing insane damage, like incomprehensible damage. And I'm really glad that they at least put a cap on it. It means this playstyle of Asmodan is still like viable. It just doesn't become like too overwhelmingly powerful late game, which was its issue before. This is a pretty big change on Diablo. Like Diablo is already viable. Lightning Breath is like was a phenomenal ult last patch, and now Apocalypse has 100-second cooldown instead of 120-second cooldown. There are a couple cool applications for this. Now Apocalypse shares the same cooldown as like Void Prism, so if you see Diablo and Zeratul together and they're trying to wombo combo out of a Void Prism, both the Apocalypse and the Void Prism will come off cooldown at the same time. So that's really cool. Overall, that's a pretty significant buff. You're definitely going to see a lot more Apocalypse because of that change. Lightning Breath. The interesting thing about this change, it was actually a bug last patch. You could do this before. Diablo will now cast Lightning Breath in the direction of the cursor rather than the direction he is facing at the time of the cast. Last patch, if you didn't move your cursor at all when you casted Lightning Breath, it would do this, but now they just made it a constant thing, so now everyone can. It's just another quality of life change. It's really cool. ETC, Fury of the Storm talent was replaced with Hardened Shield. This definitely makes him more of a tanky character if you want him to be, more of that like dangerous frontline. And it never really made sense as to why he had Fury of the Storm in the first place. The Falstad changes are pretty huge. Now he actually feels amazing to play. With these changes, he's probably like pretty competitively viable. But his basic attack was changed a little bit, but the most significant thing, his barrel roll, cooldown was reduced by 2 seconds, and the speed was increased by 50%. That's an insanely significant change. It makes his dash arguably like the best dash in the game right now. And Mighty Gust got a slight buff, but you're probably still not going to see Mighty Gust at all. Now the changes to Jaina, in my opinion, were like unnecessary, but it kind of pushed Jaina over the line. I personally consider Jaina to be extremely strong right now, very top tier, and mostly because of the changes to her abilities and the fact that she can affect unstoppably. Each one of her abilities got a damage buff. That's pretty insane because she already was capable of doing a ton of damage. But because she can now target unstoppable units and like forts and stuff with the chill, like she's just on another level right now. Like Jaina is a very, very strong hero. The Ultralisk change on Kyrigan is just like similar to Jaina's Water Elemental. I think that's cool. Making it so you can control the AI helps a lot. It increases skill cap. But I still don't know how I feel about Ultralisk. I think it's good, but I still prefer Maelstrom. Lily, not too much has changed. She just doesn't heal Ultimate Evolution clones or Nova's clones. which is a minor buff if you're running a composition where you have either an Abathur or a Nova. Murky got changed a lot. The most significant change, in my opinion, is the cast time reduced on Pufferfish. It just makes it makes the overall like feel of the hero so much better. Playing him, he feels so much more smooth. He's a lot of fun to play. You might see Murky more, but probably not. The Zibo got pretty nerfed as far as Ravenous Spirit goes. Ravenous Spirit got its damage changed a lot. And you're probably not going to see too much of that anymore. And Specialized Toxin got nerfed significantly. So that makes the Ravenous Spirit style of play extremely weak. But conversely, Gargantuan now is like super strong, in my opinion. And you're going to be able to, or you're going to be seeing a lot of Gargantuan in the future, in my opinion. It does ridiculous damage. It puts Nazeebo's damage numbers like way at the top. In my opinion, Zibo rivals Paula and Jaina for the top spot of damage. Raynor had like a negligible change, just 1 damage per level. The nerf on Sergeant Hammer was pretty significant. She got her health nerfed a lot, and now she feels super squishy. One of the issues with Hammer before, she was pretty easy to blow up, and now she's even easier to blow up. So you're going to definitely see less of Hammer. The changes to Sonya are mostly like quality of life changes. Definitely makes her feel better when you're playing. And I think Sonya is a strong hero. These changes are interesting. The Stitches changes. His health pool got nerfed and his damage got nerfed pretty heavily. So like overall, he's a weaker hero than he was. But without getting into all the specifics of the numbers and whatnot, I still think you're going to see a lot of Stitches purely because he provides the hook. And his hook, more specific than anything else, like with the level 16 talent fishing hook, one of the most game-changing things in the game. So I think we'll still be seeing plenty of Stitches. Passadara Force Wall just got buffed a little bit and cost a lot less mana. Forms faster. The Vikings got nerfed a little bit as far as damage goes, but it's pretty insignificant. It's 1 damage per level, so they're about the same. Thrall got changed a little bit. I actually haven't read the Thrall changes until just now. But Thrall, a few patches back, got hit with the nerf hammer pretty hard, so he just kind of disappeared from the scene. With these changes, though, his trait increasing his healing a little bit more, Chain Lightning doing a little bit more damage, and Wind Fury increasing his movement speed a little bit more might actually bring him back in certain situations. I definitely think he's more of a niche pick. Nothing significant really changed on Tychus. Tyrande, like, got a huge talent overhaul. She's probably one of the better supports in the game, if not, like, the best secondary support at the moment. Like, she feels super strong. I am not the, like, leading expert on Tyrande, but I think a lot of these talents just helped her out, like, except for the Bolt of the Storm being removed. I think that's the most impactful change. It makes you have to play a lot safer, especially when it comes to the later game when if you get picked, it's super game changing. Not having Bolt kind of forces you into going rewind at 20, and that can be pretty scary in certain situations. Uther got changed like a ton. I think Uther is one of the best supports still. But the changes to Uther, in my opinion, just made him overall a better healer and less of like an all-in, kind of just charge at them, hit your abilities type of hero. And now I think he's just a better healer in general, and these changes made his less common ultimate, Divine Shield, much more viable. His trait was basically the thing that like got reworked the most. Instead of being able to use his basic and heroic abilities when he's dead, he can now use Flash of Light. It's a pretty decent heal on a 1.5 second cooldown, and he can just like spam that out. The new talent Redemption is pretty insane in my opinion. It allows him to like resurrect at the location of his spirit with 50% health, like at the end of his passive duration. That makes it so at level 20, if you kill the Uther, you get nothing out of it. Basically, an Uther with that talent, you kill him, that Uther has the ability to spam out his healings with his ghost form and then come back into his like regular form again. I think that talent is borderline broken, but we'll see how it plays out over time. His Q got changed a little bit. Range has been decreased. And then there were some talents, like Holy Shock was moved to 13. It makes that slightly more viable now that Sprint's gone. His W got changed a little bit. The length was slightly reduced. But a new talent was introduced at level 4 that increases the length and width by 40%. It's not that significant of a change, but Divine Storm, the level 20 version got nerfed pretty hard, but I still think you're going to be seeing a lot of Divine Storm, as well as I think you're going to be seeing a lot of field. I think Uther's in a pretty good spot right now. Vala got changed. She got like hit with the nerf hammer pretty hard, but I still think she's either the best damage or the second best damage in my opinion. Her multi-shot build got changed slightly with the battle momentum talent being removed, but another really impactful change was the fact that she's no longer unstoppable while using Vault. So now you can actually like efficiently get some crowd control on her. Zard tool was slightly nerfed. The second bomb on the double bombs talent deals 50% damage. A lot of bug fixes happen, just improved quality of life. A lot of the changes have happened. Yeah, I mean, those are all the patch notes. Overall, I think this patch is a good step for Heroes of the Storm. And I think overall, it's going to be positive for the future. I like the implementation of Sylvanas, and I like the implementation of this Tomb of the Spider Queen. I think both of those are super exciting to play on myself and for all you guys. And everyone, thanks for watching. This is one of my first videos, so the production quality is not the best. I'm still trying to figure this stuff out for myself. But at the end of this video, I'd like to thank and shout out my sponsors. But before I shout out my sponsors, I'd like to thank my teammates and friends for making this all happen. And now I'd like to thank Tempo Storm first and foremost. And I'd like to thank Funk. I'd like to thank Namecheap. I'd like to thank Twitch, and I'd like to thank G2A, all of our sponsors. You guys are awesome. If you guys have some time, check out their stuff. And that concludes the patch notes overview. I'm Glaurung, and I'll see you guys next time.